this was another version of Daka or WAAAGH. So this was another version of Daka WAAAGH. Only one Luta, 3 Tankbustas, 3 Mech Guns, 4 trucks. But was very interesting on this list was 2 10-man units of Beastbosses. So from top to bottom, the list was Zodgrod Wartsnagga, 2 Beastbosses, a Big Mac with Get Finder goggles, followed by another Big Mac with Custom Mega Blaster and Power Claw. So both of the Big Macs had Power Claws. One Big Mac with Shock Attack and as the Warlord with Smoky Gubbin, so he has stealth, followed by 2 more Big Macs with Shock Attack guns. So that is 8 characters on this list, guys. And if you know me, you know that I say I always get kind of antsy when I start to see 7, 8 characters on the list. But he made this work, and shout out to you because that's crazy to make it work. Anyways, here, fun, very fun thematic list here. So he has 2 units of Beastbosses, so he has 2 units of 10-man Snagga Boyz, a big unit of Gretchen for Zod, followed by 3 minimized use Gretchen, Lootas, a Storm Boys unit, 3 Tankbuster units, and then 3 Mech Guns with Smasher guns. Now, before you guys come at Ari, he didn't use the tractor cannons nor the bubble chuckers. Now, I'll play devil's advocate for him. Tractor cannon is because wait until anti-fly keyword is great until it's not. And then you simply have one shotguns that you just spend all those points into. 2 is the bubble chucker. Now, bubble chucker is awesome. It just simply takes too much time to roll them, and it's unreliable. It's like what targets you want to prioritize with it, what character you're going to attach to at the beginning of the game to get those results that you want. So it ends up being the smasher gun because he takes advantage of more DACA. It takes so you can re-roll the whole hit roll. It takes advantage of big shells for bigger gets. So it being strength 9, now can get +1 to wound, and then it goes to flat 4 damage. So it looks like another similar profile to the Tank Buster profile, but you're spending the CP and dropping it into it because the Tank Busters don't need it in this case. So the mech guns do come out with that utility. Now, the big mech allows them to actually move through terrain pieces. So if you're a cunning git, you can actually set them up, stage out, and get into a firing lane, which is pretty sick. But you can also put a Big Mac with shock attack gun on them, put them in a long firing lane, and bring them in from reserves because the Smasher guns are 48-inch range alongside the Big Mac with shock attack gun in that case. So you can just simply get the big long range shots and then put the Get Finder, the Smoky Gubbins on him so that he's -1 to hit on that unit, and then you can reduce damage by 1 on that unit as well to kind of give it a little bit more longevity. The other shock attack gun can go on the looting unit so that the looting unit can actually be really potent on Overwatch and give it lethals. Or some people like to put the Big Mech on it to give it kind of versatility to fight and punch. Of course, if you do decide to put the Tank Busters with the Big Macs, the Pulsar Rock gives a -3 AP on those custom Mega Blasters, and then you still get sustain and all button access. The Snagga Boys are interesting because it's a better way to play the flanks on like certain layouts, like mission layout 8, for example, where it's very, very hard to get firing lanes for your Dread Mob. So let's say you're playing a GW layout 8 or 7. The Beastbosses, and I don't know what layout he was playing. I wasn't privy to that this time. I could see why he teched into these things because he wants to be able to kind of move through the terrain and also charge up and fight people on the objectives that he can't get a line of sight to. So let's take over. Let's take a look at this path to Vic. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our wall tactic dice. So shout them out. Check them out in the description. 5% off in the discount because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them. We have his list going forward. Now, he did lose his first game, but he got an 86-point win. So I made the exception because it was a very good close game. And it was still a Dread Mob list that we're going to see with variations. So I know some people say, well, it's submarining, it's this, it's that. Well, you would still be proud if you win 4-1 in an event. I promise you that. So, especially if your loss was an 86-point win, you're like, well, that was close, right? So let's take a look at his first game where he lost. But it was against the Adeptus Custodes. Sorry, guys, I'm like yapping. I drink that water real quick. So we have 2 Blade Champions, Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetpike, and then Valerian. 2 units of Caladia's Grav Tanks, triple Wardens, 2 Prosecutors, 1 unit of Ventress Praetors, followed by Witch Seeker. Not that I'm going to simplify it because I don't know the missions, don't know layouts. I can't too much, so we're just going to keep it general here. You do have the damage to annihilate these guys. Dreadmob does have the ability, the capabilities between reactive moves to stop them from getting where they want to be on their charges sometimes, and they have to put their small arm fire into the grots. But it does, keep them a little bit further back to a certain degree. You do have a bunch of damage 3, but at the same time, this is very dependent on did you roll your 4 up in? Well, if you did, I'm kind of dead. And Wardens, you're very, and because you're kind of one activation in this list, one phase, they kind of know when to pop to feel no pain. That being said, he still made it really, really close with an 86-point loss there. So when I looked at the guy that he beat, it was a 89-point win. So he only lost by he lost by 3 points. So that's just like a secondary here or there. That's the reason why, even though he lost his first game, I still was like, it's all good to show his list because he did a great freaking job. So shout out to you. So then we move on to his second list because I think Custodes are everybody's taking a loss to Custodes sometimes early on, but that was still a great job by him. But then he moves on to just demolish everybody else. So next game is against Shadow Legion Demons. So we have Bloodmaster, a Great Unclean One, Lord of Change, 1 unit of Blood Letters, a Nurgling, 2 units of Plague Bears, triple Beast of Nurgles, followed by the Flamers, and then 2 units of Fleshhound, followed by Plague Drones and Screamer Killers. Then Allied Chosen, followed by Allied Cultists, and a Dark Apostle unit. So as for Dread Mob and these sort of matchups, as we spoke about, obviously you have so many greater demon killing capability here, which was the interesting part of him actually bringing the Beast Bosses. Now, the fun part is Zodgrod gives you the capability to kill or hold back a lot of the other trash. So if you can get charges off on multiple Fleshhound units, if you can get charges off, and yes, I will still say the Plague Bears, even though I'm aware that they can punch up, still enough to keep them back, not getting into the objective, interacting with their OC in the game, and they're slow to trying to get up there later. So being able to close the distance on the Flamer units because they're quite annoying as well. Let Zod punch into them, for example. And then when the enemy reacts to kill them with the greater demons, because none of these demons that he has on his list other than the Chosen can deal with Zod in one punch necessarily. It means that he has to kind of everybody jump on him. So Lootas come out early, start dealing with overwatches, playing the early game as if you play and try to drip feed me stuff, I'm just going to shoot it. Everything's on the objective, and then Overwatch, Matt guns coming in from strategic reserves or coming in through the terrain. So absolutely love that. I think it's going to take reps with this list because it is very just I shoot you heavy and I don't have a bunch of melee other than the 2 units of Snaggas, but hey, and Zod, but hey, that works out. 3 units of melee and then some Lootas punching and Tankbustas additional punching means that there is some combined assault going off here on the wall, and then you can obviously always push the button if you have a mech attach, which like all these units do besides the Snagga units because they have Snagga bosses. They're getting lethal buttons as well. So I think it's sick. I think this is a very this archetype has been you know thought about and made up in lists and used, but most people stray away from it because it's so character heavy. So it's really nice to see that, even though I will say it's an exception, it has a lot of foundational tools here that I think a lot of us can build upon or learn from and try to incorporate into our Dread Mob list, even if we're more walker savvy gets, because I know some people are like, well, I like walkers. Well, me too. So that's where we look at this with just for a train of thought. Then we go on to his third game, where he goes into Imperial Knights. We have Canis Rex, Crastus Lancer, followed by Knight Crusader, followed by 2 units of Helvrin, 2 Warglaives, and then Cladius. So this is I want to destroy other knights. If this was a Stompa list, the Stompa list would be getting annihilated. But because it's not, and it's I have a mass infantry list, and all of these infantry units can take a chunk out of you. This was I just annihilate and shoot you and take you taking 3 and 4 damage shot throughout the game. So 96-point win there. Love to see it. If you get close and the Snagga punches you, if you take too long to get close and Zod moves slowly up the field towards you, and then he wraps multiple of your big knights, and then you still want him and kill everything else. So that game is very rough for the knight player, in my opinion, based off the tools that he had. And then we go on to his fourth game, where he goes into the Ynnari, where he has the Visark, Yavrin, Yunkarn, followed by Cabalat Warriors, a Wave Serpent, followed by 2 Venoms, 2 Dark Reapers, 2 Fire Dragons, 2 units of Howling Banshees, Rangers, 2 units of Striking Scorpions, Warlock Skyrunners, Warp Spiders, Wind Riders, and Incubi. So good old Ynnari. Sorry, I'll talk about. Good old Ynnari. Surprisingly, he did get an 80-point win here. Now, I'm not going to discourage, the win, but I will say, at this point, you are playing more in the middle tables because you've come back and won several games, but you're still not at the top tables necessarily because you lost the first game. So I would say there's, not the most elite proficient Ynnari player, but it's still a very efficient win. Still a really respectable win to pull that off into Ynnari and its current state with what someone would consider a completely off the meta, off the wall Dread Mob list. It really comes down to the fact that on the wall plus Zod plus your anti-tank capacity means you have all the weapons for all of his profiles, and he's never going to be safe from you at any point. And he always has something to interact with you. And the longer he tries to prolong the game, the more table space you pick up. And then once you get to the center line, you call a wall, and he gets run over. It's not simple like that. Of course, they get a bunch of shenanigans, but it really does come down to he does have really effective profiles for killing those units. It's really just that I think Ari just had a good time of understanding his staging potential, possibly even knew the missions before he was going into this, and was able to kind of practice and maneuver it because the Snagga units makes me think that he had like good insight to what he had to do here. Not that I know this, just saying I think so because we go into this last matchup where he goes into Eldari again. And this is the Devoted of Yanid. So this was his same team, nerd team. So I know sometimes teammates don't really play each other because they're from far away from each other, but there are times where they play each other at a time. So it could be they're familiar with this opponent. So he has Yinkarn, Yvreen, and Artark. The Yinkarn I actually bought for my nephew because he's an Eldar player right now. He's about to graduate college, Solid 6 Xavier. But that's funny. I'm very familiar with that Eldar unit. And normally I'm not familiar with Eldar. So we have Cabalite followed by 2 units of Dark Reapers, 2 Fire Dragons, 2 Howling Banshings, 2 Striking Scorpions, 1 Warp Spider, an Incubi, 2 units of Reavers, or 3 units of Reavers. Oh, there's nothing on the screen. Yeah, look at that. The Warp trying to get on us. Shadow of the Warp coming in down here, boy. A Wave Serpent, a Raider, and then a Venom. So before we get bopped out of here, before the screen drops, not gonna act like I know a whole bunch about that matchup necessarily in that case, but he did get a 97-point win, and it was a odd meta, Eldar list. But shout out to Ari for pulling this off with his really, really unique Dread Mob list. Now, I will say, like I always say, these lists are not intended for you to simply copy paste and utilize in that way because even me myself, I would have such a difficult time trying to pilot a list that had 8 characters heavy, one of those being a slow but mecha unit, and then 2 of those units being Snaggas that simply don't take any abilities from the detachment or just great on their own, which isn't like a detriment. I'm not saying that makes it hard to play. I'm saying really, really unique in that case because a lot of the time, people are just playing typical Dread Mob, either all the Daka or a little bit of Walker. In this case, I like that he put the Snagga because that's something that's always yapped about. And the Big Macs are such a cool, great utility piece. I love to see it. I totally encourage that more Orc players try to make the Big Mac work. Rerolling advances is sick. His capability of fighting a damage 3, his keyword access, his point cost at being 70 right now. He does have good play. And honestly, if Tankbusters go up and the shock attack gun go up and Big Mac stays the same, he might be the differential of what allows you to keep playing Tankbusters. So the sooner you get familiar with him, the more chances you'll have to be skilled with him. Be a cunning git and check out our new order markers that are in our store. So shout out to you gits being cunning. Help you guys get all the orders set on the table nice and clean for all you gits to get stuck in. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!